Well, it seems safe to say that one of the biggest movies of 2025 is James Gunn's Superman, a bold representation of a pop culture icon, a fun, fully realized comic book universe, brilliantly cast from top to bottom. It's a fresh new take on comic book cinema. It's nice to finally have a mainstream Superman that stands for hope and optimism again. So let's look back at a time when Superman stood for violence and murder! No, not that one. There we go. Injustice began as a video game by NetherRealm, the Mortal Kombat people, about the Justice League traveling to a parallel Earth to fight their evil counterparts, the regime, led by a Superman who turned evil after the death of his wife. From there, DC made a prequel comic book series showing the history of the Injustice universe, and the comics are pretty well adored by fans, before finally a sequel game following the Injustice heroes trying to save their world from Brainiac. And then, nothing. Injustice 2 came out in 2017. 8 years and 2 Mortal Kombats with 2 DLC campaigns later, there is still no sign of Injustice 3 on the horizon. I guess DC decided to fill the gap in the series with an Injustice animated movie in 2021. Fans hate that movie and have been requesting me to review it for years now. Okay. Let's take a look at the Injustice movie, and also dust it for clues as to why Injustice keeps failing to gain traction as a franchise. The movie opens with Superman waking up next to Lois Lane and realizing via super hearing that she's pregnant. She didn't even know yet. Clark immediately starts freaking out about the stuff they need to do. It's a charming scene.
We're pregnant. Mostly you, but I helped.
This was also one of 2 laughs that I got all movie, so soak it in. We get a title card, and not gonna lie, it bugs me that they don't play the game's memorable leitmotif anywhere in the movie. Batman's in Metropolis looking for the Joker, and Superman decides to share his big news.
Lois is pregnant, and you're grinning like an idiot.
I'd love to know why the direction was for Batman to scold his best friend for being excited about parenthood. Dude's mad that a kid's gonna have parents! Superman joins the hunt for the Joker, and guess who Lois and Jimmy Olsen are tracking at the docks?
I got some Jimmy on my shoe.
Must resist urge. Already took my shot at Snyderverse.
Imagine meeting you here, Lois. Only the very best for you, Harley.
Ugh, the Joker's voice acting. He just growls all his lines to where it's grating to listen to, on top of barely sounding a thing like the Joker.
Time to go, Harley. Good guys are coming and they tend to get punchy.
Janker doesn't sound so bad now, does he?
Put it in me.
Stuff happens fast as Superman realizes that Lois is missing, Batman discovers that Kryptonite's been stolen, the League is called in to help with the search, and the Flash discovers that the Joker has killed the Scarecrow. And then one of the most infamous moments in the movie happens!
Something's wrong. Can't move.
Flash gets punked out by some gas and a tiny saw! What? And no, the Flash doesn't die in the comics or the games. This was made up for the movie to dispose of a powerful character that they didn't want to have to write around. But why did it have to happen so stupidly? The dude can phase through walls and his reaction time's the speed of light, but doesn't know to run away from the room slowly filling with gas or to, duck? I seriously wonder if DC just sees the Flash as a time travel MacGuffin at this point. Like, we have to nuke him for every major story so the audience knows it can't be retconned. Also, Yuri Lowenthal voices the Flash. Got one of the most recognizable voice actors working for about 10 seconds. So even though Batman knows that the Joker has Lois and Kryptonite and fear gas, the world's greatest detective doesn't put 2 and 2 together until it's too late. Superman, who's too dumb to see a problem with walking into a submarine filled with ominous green fog, gets dosed with kryptonite fear toxin to where he thinks Lois is Doomsday, and he kills her by flying her into space. Oh, buck up, pansy! Lacey from Superman 4 could breathe in space! And the Joker, now a master surgeon apparently, wired a switch to her heart that triggers a nuke and blows up Metropolis. Superman has inadvertently killed just about everyone he's ever known. along with his unborn child.
Ow! That's a whoopsie.
Superman flies off in a rage, but luckily Green Lantern is there to talk him down. Is it really that easy to shut down Green Lantern? I mean, yeah, it happens in the game too, but there it's not executed to look so stupid! And we hit the iconic moment from the games and comics. Superman punches a hole through the Joker's chest, killing him. Don't know why they can't show the actual punch when they already have an R rating, but I am not a network censor. Alright, so far the movie has actually been pretty solid. It's effectively adapted the inciting incident, it builds and handles tension really well, the pacing is great, the emotional hook is strong. Aside from punking out the Flash for no damn reason, this is off to a good start. So where do we go from here?
My pudding could light up a room. Aw, I wanted the smashing mallet, not the squeaky one. No freaking way! Do it again!
Harley Quinn not being funny.
Hey, how come your little beard looks both ridiculous and cute, huh?
Ugh, I know that comedy is subjective, but Harley is so grating in this movie. She just acts like an annoying airhead, and unlike the other comic reliefs, she doesn't do a damn thing. Or die. You could cut her from the movie, give her abundant screen time to an actual interesting character, and lose nothing! Anyway, Green Arrow grabs Harley so that Superman doesn't kill her. Yeah, kill off the obnoxious character. Perish the thought.
Okay, quiet game. Lightning round.
The voice acting is a mixed bag. All the supporting roles are fine, but Justin Hartley as Superman and Anson Mount as Batman just have a lot of flat or awkward deliveries. Like they've got the voices down, but they haven't mastered emoting in those voices yet. And yes, Batman is voiced by Black Bolt of Marvel's garbage Inhumans show. Good to see that he escaped that train wreck mostly unscathed. I'm also not fond of the art style, which uses a lot of heavy black lines and puts endlessly distracting giant black rectangles on everyone's knuckles. Why? It looks terrible, and I'm really not fond of this bulky, overly armored character model for Batman. It fits with the games, but nobody else in the movie is this over-designed, and it just seems like it's trying too hard. Alright, so Superman is brooding on the Watchtower and admits that he's still pissed about everything that's happened. So how does his very best friend Batman respond to his distraught teammate?
You're better than that. You have to be.
I might have tried what you're feeling is natural. Take all the time you need. Take a break and we'll hold down the fort for you. But sure, chastise the man for having emotions. Wonder Woman declares that all laws are bullshit. We'll get to her later. And Superman agrees. And what does best buddy Batman say to talk down Superman from this dangerous path?
You're grieving.
I might have gone with, don't let the Joker win by twisting you. Nobody elected us lawmakers. Crime is not a black and white issue. But sure, belittle the grieving father. That works too. Superman overthrows the government of Bialya, which is what the villains did in the good movie where Superman questions his morals. And then he gives a speech to the UN about how he's ending every conflict everywhere and arresting whoever he damn well pleases.
All hostilities will stop, or I will stop them.
Yay! The God-Man just told every government on Earth that he's in charge of all your shit, and if you don't like it, he'll kill you! Although, unlike Superman 4, you can at least argue they're applauding so that he doesn't just vaporize them. Back at the Watchtower, the Justice League is debating Superman's actions. Batman points out they're on a slippery slope to just ruling the world outright. Aquaman says it's messed up for Superman to solely decide what's right and how everything is punished. Plastic Man points out that criminals can get redeemed if Superman doesn't laser their face off. And Wonder Woman's counter-argument is...
Justice is finally done. Some won't like it, especially those that oppress the weak.
Everybody sucks except us! That makes it okay to oppress people!
One law. To do what's right.
But we're right about everything, so why should we take over? Wow, that was actually a kind of good scene about debating superhero ethics. We need to make it stupid again.
I believe my time with the Justice League is over.
Most of the magical heroes feel the same way.
They've called John, Guy, and myself back to Oa.
And just like that, every superhero with a reasonable shot at stopping Superman has been written out of the movie over complete bullshit excuses. This is such lazy writing, it's almost incredible. Also, yeah, let's talk about Wonder Woman for a second.
Superman is saving lives while we talk.
She has a problem with conversations. How else would you address an existential moral dilemma? Punch it? Yeah, this movie is a go-to example of what bad writers think Wonder Woman is as a character. They assume that Amazon just translates to hates everything about humans and leaps to violence as the first resort. That's how she's written in All-Star Batman and Robin, and you don't want to be All-Star Batman and Robin. This is still better than her actual Injustice counterpart, who's an insane, hardcore fascist because her first boyfriend was an actual Nazi. And no, I'm not kidding.
Man's world is incapable of self-rule.
Superman starts indiscriminately blowing up military equipment around the world, and the American government starts to realize that an uncontrolled superhero having universal say in how everything runs is kind of bad. They recruit Mirror Master to kidnap Pa Kent and keep him in a mirror dimension to threaten Superman into submission. Clark takes it well.
But how can I make good decisions? Every single second, I feel like smashing something.
Yeah, just the strongest person on Earth admitting that he only thinks about violence 24/7. Totally not a red flag that he's gone cuckoo, and Wonder Woman totally isn't an idiot in this movie. This whole plot point only lasts about 5 minutes because Raven, who only shows up for this one scene, can apparently just go into the mirror dimension, and then Superman rescues his dad off-screen. This plot thread takes a lot of screen time, and its entire payoff is just to explain why Pa Kent is at the Fortress of Solitude later. For a movie that's desperately strapped for time, blowing this many minutes on an unimportant plot point is a weird choice. I do appreciate that the Fortress of Solitude looks just how it does in the sequel game. I remember because I always knocked people into the statues of Superman's parents to piss him off. There's kind of a funny inclusion at the villain bar where the Reverse Flash is just drinking away his sorrows that the guy he built his entire life around got bitched out by a tiny saw. Although that brings up more questions because Reverse Flash is another villain who could wreck Superman and just doesn't. Cut to the Batcave as Nightwing and Damian Wayne are sparring, and this is an actual plot point for later.
He gets pissy when he loses. You're 13. How are you the darkest thing in this cave?
Holy crap, a likable character! Take it away! Take it away! Alright, Superman's kind of pissed that his best friend didn't help to rescue his dad. What is best buddy Batman's response?
And you have to stop what you're doing. You're scaring them. We can't decide who dies. You're in pain.
I might have gone with, you're taking over the planet, Lois wouldn't have wanted this. What gives you the right to dictate everyone's lives? If the world lives in fear of you, then how are you better than the villains? But sure, vague, mild moral aggrandizement works too. I do like this bit, though.
Come on, don't be you. Hairline fracture of the third finger. You'll be fine in 3 weeks.
Show that they are still at least friends. For now. The news drops that Wonder Woman massacred several hundred North Koreans.
After her fierce fight with the DPRK led to several hundred casualties.
File that away for later, and Superman declares that he's taking all the villains out of Arkham Asylum to lock in a secret gulag because rehabilitation's a crock and human rights are for shit. Okay, I get it's Arkham, but you see my point. Batman and Nightwing gear up to stop Superman, but Robin doesn't go with them.
You're self-righteous and arrogant, and you'll never, ever learn!
Oh, so Damian's read Injustice.
You understand why we can't let them do this.
Of course.
But we're not going to say it aloud because an actual argument would make Superman look bad. Somehow Damian beat Batman here without a jet plane, and remember when I said I laughed twice at this movie?
Look who you're standing with. Bane, Killer Croc, and whoever that is.
Calendar Man catching strays, I love it. And Batman incapacitates Cyborg for about 5 seconds with a virus that he implanted the day that they met. This doesn't have shit to do with anything. We just need an excuse to make Batman look bad. Just wait for it, we're Very close to the actual point there. Meanwhile, Harley is still in this movie in a sluttier outfit, and to help out, she releases Batman's villains, who are mostly unpowered humans, to fight Superman and the Justice League. Boy, it sure is convenient there's suddenly a common threat to distract our feuding heroes from fighting each other. Also some animation errors because Victor Zsasz' tallies are not at all consistent, and Batman takes down Bane, only for Cyborg to later still be fighting Bane. Riddler really is the smartest Batman villain. He runs away. Well, gee, there's exactly one likable character in this fight, so what the hell do you think is going to happen? Nightwing's dead now. From a tiny stick that Damian threw at his head. I don't doubt that it can happen, but it's staged to look like Nightwing died of a minor headache. How do Final Destination victims die harder than superheroes?
I thought I could redeem you. I was wrong.
Okay, this is getting on my nerves now. I know that Batman's not exactly thinking clearly at this point, but he could pulverize Superman's entire argument with one sentence here. One of your friends just killed an innocent man, Clark. What does your new code say about that? Why does Damian get away with murdering someone? Where's the line? Why did Superman leave the villain bar alone, but beeline for Arkham Asylum? Why do you get to pick and choose when, how, and for what people are punished? If this is all about justice, then why isn't justice equitable? Because it's not about justice. It's about your ego, isn't it, Clark? But no, Batman doesn't get to say any of that. He just leaves, and Superman learns nothing from this experience. That said, there's a really good humanizing moment here where Superman grabs Catwoman to help Bruce through the loss. See, that's the frustrating thing. There is a lot to like about this movie. It has major emotional character moments, it's well-paced, it's a tension-fueled dramatic story with enough hope spots that you don't check out of what's happening. This movie resonates on emotional levels, it's just the script is so crappy! Oh, and Nightwing gets the powers of Deadman. What? Damian takes Superman to see Ra's al Ghul because the immortal terrorist Batman villain who's always trying to take over the world really wants to join with Superman. This is dumb for 3 reasons. 1, I thought Damian hated his granddad and everything he stands for. 2, you'd think that Ra's al Ghul, of all people, being desperate to join up with you would be a giant red flag to Superman that he's wrong. And 3, Superman portaled all of Batman's villains to a hidden gulag without a second thought, but the absolute worst Batman villain, he hears a business proposal and leaves totally free and clear. Yeah, that makes sense.
How do we change his mind?
Time and circumstance will change Superman's mind for us.
I read ahead in the script, Damian. I know something stupid's going to happen. Oh, hey, Mr. Terrific, vitally important character only just being introduced halfway through the movie. What are you working on? Oh, nothing, just talking about the multiverse out of nowhere in one of the most blatantly telegraphed Chekhov's guns in cinema history. Now I will vanish these holograms by pressing nothing on my arm because I'm just that good. And now we get to one of the best scenes in the movie. And yes, I know this was stolen from The Flash in the comics. Superman wants Mr. Terrific to build an army of drones to rid the world of guns. Who cares if it pisses people off? Saving lives is the only thing that matters, right?
Smoking. You want to save lives? Jail every smoker and imprison anyone who speeds. Lock up everyone who leaves a dangerous dog unchained. We kill anyone who doesn't recycle. Checkmate.
I love that scene. Mr. Terrific's point is that you can't save everyone on the planet without just locking everybody in a closet somewhere. So where does it stop? How big a tyrant will you be? How much will you restrict the lives of everybody on Earth? How much power will you claim for yourself before you decide it's enough? And the chess game immediately devolving into Superman being boxed in with nowhere to go is the icing on the cake. And do you know why that's the best scene in the movie? Because it's the only time in the whole damn film when someone gets to make an actual argument to Superman's face! There are several video essays on YouTube about why Injustice doesn't work, and now it's time to get into mine because this film is a microcosm of at least one major issue that the franchise struggles with. Injustice Superman sucks! The dude is a supervillain. He might start with good intentions and the game has him manipulated by villains, but he always takes it way too far and ends up ruling the world as a brutal dictatorship. Every story of Injustice just ends up turning him into a serial killer, venting his rage at the world in a years-long temper tantrum because he refuses to process his grief. Injustice Superman is a garbage character, a petulant man-child whining that he should always get his way because his pain is special.
I know what you lost, and you judge me? She'll be afraid and disgusted. She'll be alive! Lois's death doesn't just— stole her from me!
And this is all before the second game flanderizes him to where he just wants to murder everyone who looks at him funny on the spot, even if it's Brainiac, whom he needs alive to save Metropolis. So to boot, he's a goddamn moron! When I premiered my review of the Snyder Cut, fans in the live chat informed me that nobody plays Injustice 2 as Superman. They use the Bizarro skin so they don't have to listen to the insufferable prick.
Superman say you hate puppies.
Put simply, nobody likes Injustice Superman. Which is kind of a problem because you're supposed to. DC clearly wants Injustice to be their answer to Marvel's Civil War. Heroes turned against one another, a pick your side story hook. Are you Team Batman or Team Superman? And if one of those teams is a one-note diaper-shitting man-child, then we need Batman to look just as bad. Injustice Batman never gets to make an actual argument against Superman. Every single time he tries to talk Clark down, he has nothing but a soapbox, belittling, and moral aggrandizement in his corner. They think that if they make it look like Batman has no argument, it'll trick us into thinking Superman has a point. Instead, it just makes our moral hero look like a stupid jerkass. So the central conflict of Injustice is a raving lunatic Superman versus a lecturing bunghole Batman to where you don't like anyone. Literally, NetherRealm made a game about fighting despotic tyrants, and then DC turned it into a series trying to argue the tyrants have a point. But wait, you say, isn't Injustice a popular series? People loved the games and the comics, so why didn't the movie just adapt straight what people liked? Yeah, about that, I don't think it's entirely accurate to say that fans actually like Injustice. They like parts of Injustice. The first game was popular because you had the Justice League beating up their evil doppelgangers. It was a fun and satisfying premise for a fighting game. People liked the comics because at least years 1 through 3 were character pieces. They picked one character, dug deep into their development, and wrung a personal story out of the lore. And Injustice 2 is popular for its gameplay. It's just a solid fighter with great presentation and a stellar roster. But if you dig any deeper into the series, the fan reception gets awfully mixed. I've been told the actual plot of the Injustice comics is dull, repetitive, and tedious at best, and cheap shock value at worst. And Bubba, nobody likes the story of Injustice 2. The story of how the shithole universe is gonna stay a shithole forever. The common thread across the series is that nobody cares about the actual universe of Injustice. So the movie is hated, and the series hit a dead end, because DC keeps doubling down on the worst parts of the franchise. Okay, lecture over. Batman needs a weapon to stop Superman, so he arranges a few heroes together.
Superman isn't thinking straight. He needs to be stopped.
Oh, for the love, even in private, Batman doesn't get to make a real argument against Superman. So they're going to break into the Fortress of Solitude to steal a red sun cannon because What, is this the one universe where Batman doesn't have any kryptonite? And what's our ever-benevolent overlord doing? Oh, nothing, just watching Cyborg and Hawkman overthrow an entire country.
The junta has fled. Those that stay deserve what they get.
Cripes, every time I watch this movie, Wonder Woman's a little more insufferable. And again, this is her toned down from the source material. Superman spots some American submarines and, needing no further context, flies down wholly prepared to overthrow the American government on a moment's notice just for possibly having some weapons. Yeah, and DC can't figure out why nobody likes this guy. But of course the heist turns to shit because Pa Kent is crashing at the fortress, and Captain Atom, the inspiration for Dr. Manhattan who's about on the same power keel as Superman, gets punked out off screen in about 2 seconds.
I can handle him. The Pentagon ran simulations.
Oh, and they're never wrong.
Batman stops Superman by having DC's Ant-Man shrink into his brain with kryptonite, but by the unholy magic of plot convenience, Ra's al Ghul shows up in the Arctic out of nowhere to fight Batman's forces, and he brought a plot convenience gas that kills the Atom along with him. I was joking when I said that he got ahead in the script. How in the hell did he know to do any of this? Well, gee, there's one likable character in this fight, so what do you think's gonna happen to Green Arrow? Of course, Superman deliberately deflected an arrow into his own father, the father Clark could have sped to safety at any time, no less, and decided that it was Green Arrow's fault. What a douche. Also, Batman grabs this thing. I thought it was a Phantom Zone projector, the kind of weapon that could stop Superman, but it's literally a completely unnamed piece of technobabble for something they do later. We never find out what it does. Well, your dad's dead, so nothing to lose by joining the world-infamous megalomaniacal terrorist now, right, Clark? Superman makes another speech that any superhero that doesn't pledge loyalty to the Justice League, and its whole 4 members, will be arrested and detained indefinitely on sight and hunted down by a global army of T-Sphere drones. Yeah, Injustice Superman is imprisoning every person with powers on the planet just for not kissing his ass. And DC can't figure out why nobody likes him. Hey, magic heroes, Aquaman, you want to actually get involved now that you're all actively on Superman's shit list? No? Cool.
This is your final warning. Stop committing violent acts.
I don't know why, this line feels so clunky that Neil Breen would be proud.
Isn't that corrupt?
Oh, and Superman finds a warehouse packed with teenagers having a Joker-themed party and kills them all with his heat vision.
Isn't that cheating the public?
Yeah, when your writing for Superman is indistinguishable from Homelander, you have lost the plot! Batman needs to break Mr. Terrific out of Superman's prison in the Mariana Trench to shut down the network of T-Spheres. How Superman got a network of T-Spheres without Terrific's help is not clear. And for some reason, Plastic Man is the only one who can get inside the prison. Also, Huntress and Captain Atom are just gone now for no explanation at all. Whatever, the prison escape is a fun sequence. Plastic Man is a ridiculously endearing and fun character, and this is pretty much the only win that our heroes get the whole damn movie. Dead Nightwing gets Cyborg to blow a hole in the base, Mr. Terrific pulls impossible tech out of his ass, our heroes escape.
Was it a surprise that elites and special interests would not willingly give up power?
Isn't that betraying the public's trust?
Instead, they fought.
Okay, so Wonder Woman is disgusted that Myanmar put up a fight, but she's also disgusted at every waking second that her allies aren't fighting. I don't even think they wrote a character for Wonder Woman. They just wrote whatever sounded the most bitchy at the time. But the turning point comes when Mr. Terrific uses the drone network to broadcast footage of Superman slaughtering those teens from earlier.
Isn't that immoral?
You killed these children.
Wonder Woman's a hero now! Right? You have to like her now because she turned against Superman. Right? Seriously, the movie acts like Wonder Woman is fully redeemed and heroic again because she draws the line at murdering actual children. But, like, she's still a mass murderer. She still betrayed all her friends. She's still an authoritarian who advocated that the League should just get to take over the world because they're better than everyone else. Bullshit! Wonder Woman's redeemed now! You do not get credit for having the absolute bare minimum of humanity, you animate pile of shit! Or maybe you do get credit because murdering kids didn't faze her counterpart in the games and comics for 1 second. So earlier in the movie, Ra's al Ghul presented Superman with a new drone called Amazo to help patrol and protect areas with some more firepower, and Superman, being an idiot, said sure to the global terrorist. So they drop Amazo in Smallville, and what do you know? It immediately goes nuts and tries to kill everyone. Who could possibly have seen that coming? And if you don't know Amazo, he's an android that can copy other superheroes' powers. No idea how Ra's al Ghul was able to build that, but whatever. Now all our heroes have another convenient distraction to join forces against for the climax. I will say, though, I get a little too much satisfaction from watching the heroes who bent the knee and joined Superman get beaten to death nice and slow by Amazo. Karma, a rarity in this franchise. There's also a really nice sequence for Damian as he turns on Ra's al Ghul. Nightwing helps him out, they reconcile. It has nothing to do with the plot, but it's a really nice redemption arc, and it fixes a character who's insufferable in the source material. Alright, so Amazo is dead. Did this teach Clark a lesson about the end point of his crusade and how power doesn't equal morality?
They saved our lives.
Of course not. He just speed ran his franchise arc from wanting to kill criminals to crack down on justice to wanting to kill everyone because he's a flat lunatic. Alright, it's finally time for the ultimate showdown that we've been building up the entire movie. The epic confrontation where the Justice League sits on ass while a multiversal Superman fights the evil one. I'd complain that our heroes don't get a real win, but we're skipping ahead to the end of the first game instead of dragging out this shit for 5 whole years. I'll count my blessings. The fight is fine. I just kind of hold up the Legion of Superheroes cartoons as the gold standard for a Superman mirror match. I do appreciate, though, that they work in both of Superman's ultimate moves from the games. That was a really cool shout-out. But unlike the game, the real Superman is defeated because apparently insane tyrants cannot be stopped by any means. Fuck you, 2021 film! But luckily, Batman has a backup plan to bring in the one person that might get through to this bitchy man-child! In alternate universe, Lois Lane.
Every life was sacred to him.
I'm trying to give the world peace.
By murdering others that disagree with you?
How did it come to this?
And that gets him to back down. Like many things about this movie, I have mixed feelings on this. On one hand, it's annoying that Injustice Superman is such a whiny, childish douche that Lois is the only person across the multiverse that he listens to, and this is such an unsatisfying, easy cop-out ending. But at the same time, I can't argue with the movie's logic. I totally buy that Injustice Superman is that big of a tool to think that Lois is the only person in existence that actually matters. So Superman finally realizes what he's done and surrenders, two things that definitively do not happen in the games or comics. On one hand, it's kinda too clean of an ending, but on the other, this version at least gets a start at redemption, and Batman sucks face with Catwoman to close out our movie. In that outfit, yeah, I get it. The Injustice movie is a frustrating sit. It's a technically well-made movie with stellar pacing and tension for a solidly fun, dramatic superhero action flick, and it's neat that smaller characters Mr. Terrific and Plastic Man get a chance to shine, but the presentations of these iconic characters making multiple stupid decisions to force the plot where it needs to go really muddles your enjoyment if you're at all a fan of DC. The film is stacked with unlikable characters just to manipulate you by killing off the few fun ones, and a lot of the film just reeks of lazy writing. It's a plot about superheroes fighting that writes out almost all of DC's characters and then constantly finds excuses for the heroes to fight anyone else besides each other. They have multiple major characters just drop out of the story with no explanation, and it's a story about a moral argument on superhero ethics that takes every chance it can find to duck out of any actual debate. Probably because the issue is so one-sided that Superman would lose by miles if there were a debate. But here's the thing. A lot of the film's problems trace back to the comics and the games from which it was adapted. And in fact, the movie tries to improve on the source material multiple times. DC insisted on a movie adapting all the worst parts of the franchise, and the filmmakers did the best they could with garbage material, barring some unnecessary self-inflicted wounds. Because of that, I don't have any real venom or vitriol for the movie. I just find it to be a case study on why injustice started with promise and then burned itself out before our very eyes. Now watch me jinx it and there'll be a trailer for Injustice 3 in a week or so just to make me look stupid. If that happens, you're welcome.
That was incredibly stupid. Not what I wanted.
Not what I wanted.
Huh?
And you didn't even offer me any jerky? Look, I'm flattered, but very married.